Alright, today is the day. My Instagram posts have been getting kind of long, and so I have decided that I'm going to start posting some stuff on YouTube just so I can talk it out instead of write it out. So, here goes nothing. My name is Amanda, and I am going to talk about intermittent fasting and what's worked for me, ideas I've had, my journey. It's been a long one. It's been a great one. So I'm going to go ahead and start off today and kind of give you a little bit of background on myself, just to kind of give you some context for my videos going forward. I just turned 40 years old, and I'm a teacher. I teach grades 1st through 4th, mostly 3rd and 4th, but I've done a lot of 2nd too, and then I've only done a 1st and some splits. But that's my teacher stats. So I am going to start off with my childhood. I was pretty average weight until I hit puberty, really. And then I wouldn't really call myself very overweight, but I was a little bit chunky. I didn't like my body. I can't actually remember a time I liked my body, which is sad. I have this story. I was about 8 or 10, and that would have been the late 80s, early 90s. Jean jackets were like a big deal. And I just remember one of my cousins had this jean jacket, and I wanted it so bad. And so I told my mom I wanted a jean jacket, and we went shopping, and the jean jackets just didn't fit me right. And looking back, probably because I was a little more into women, like if there had been junior section, it probably would have fit me just fine, but I just was kind of in that in-between phase. But it really stuck out in my mind as like I wasn't able to wear that style that my cousin had worn, and it really bothered me. So it went from that to like scale avoidance at doctors, like to the point where I wouldn't even get on the scale because I was embarrassed by it. So this started at a really, really early age of like just not liking my body and who I was and in my own skin. When I was about 13, I was probably about a size 12, which is not that big. I mean, I had gone through puberty. I was like done by 12. So like at 13 being a size 12, I probably could have lost a little bit of weight, but we're talking like maybe 20 pounds overweight, not a whole lot. But if you were around in the early 90s, you will remember that being super skinny was super popular. And so all my friends were like extremely skinny. And I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb. Even though that was probably just my body style, I felt really bad about myself. So I remember this one friend and I in the early 90s, I was probably about 12, we decided to put ourselves on a diet. And this was probably my first diet that I remember anyway. And it was the turkey sandwich diet. And literally, that's what it was. It was eating turkey sandwiches. And we decided that was all we were going to eat. I think back to that poor 12-year-old girl and just how much was wrong with that idea. Like, I hated my body so much that I was going to restrict myself to eating only a turkey sandwich every day. It's sad. Obviously, that didn't last long. But with that, I feel like that was my first failure in dieting, which sucks. By 12, I had already failed at taking care of myself. So when I was 13, I went on this journey to lose weight. I went to my grandparents' house in Iowa for about 30 days. And during that time, I decided not to eat milk, wheat, or eggs. So super restrictive. At the same time, my grandma had a pool, and I would swim in it every day for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And then I would go out to the garage. This is Iowa in the middle of the summer, by the way. It's like 800 degrees and the humidity is out of control. So then I'd go out to the garage where there's no air conditioning, and I'd ride this bike for like another half an hour. And I lost 30 pounds in a month because I wasn't really eating and I was over exercising. So I came back and I felt really good about myself, and I was getting a lot of attention, and it's probably one of the only times like in my childhood that I remember feeling good about myself, and quickly put it all back on, which we know now all I did was stop doing what I was doing, and it probably was an element of starvation in there too, and I put that on and then some. So at that point I gained a lot of weight, like probably 100 pounds torso from my childhood weights, which is a lot of weight. I'm 5'4", so actually I'm 5'3" and change, let's be real. So that was a lot of weight, well over 200 pounds. And so in about the early 2000s, there was a friend that I started doing Weight Watchers with, and it was a lot of fun. So we would go on our lunch break, and it worked for me at the time, I thought. And I quickly lost, there's a truck going by my house, sorry. I quickly lost about 50 pounds. And when I say quickly, I mean probably over about a year, which was really good. So I was starting to feel pretty good about myself, and in the meantime I had gone through a pretty bad breakup, and I don't know, I was just feeling really good about myself. And so I met my husband, and both of us had recently lost weight, so we were both super into the gym. So I continued working out at the gym with him, and I lost about another 50 pounds over the next year or so. So I was down 100 pounds at one point. The way that I lost the last 20 though was through Atkins diet, which yet another diet. And I remember there's two things with the Weight Watchers diet. First of all, I really remember it was extremely unhealthy eating. So like at the time, Weight Watchers has changed a lot now, but at the time I could eat like a whole tube of fat-free Pringles for like 6 points or 8 points. And so instead of stopping at one serving, I would literally eat the whole thing. And that's like a third of my nutrition for the day was a tube of Pringles. But there wasn't any penalty really for like eating bad food. So I ate a lot of bad food on Weight Watchers. So then Atkins comes in. And while Atkins, I was eating better food, I'm a really good rule follower. And so I would literally eat no carbs. And I think it lasted a month, and it probably was the most miserable month of my life. Like, all I was eating was cheese and eggs and meat, and it was awful. I mean, it was bad. So I remember, I have this distinct memory this day. I couldn't do it anymore, and I was on my way to school. I was in college at the time, and I just remember thinking I need sugar. Like, it was like my brain was just obsessed. And so I stopped at the gas station, and I got a bag of jelly beans, and before I had started the car, probably, I had inhaled them. I mean, it's just obsessed. And that was the end of Atkins. And I didn't lose any weight on it. I only, maybe like 5 pounds, but I really wasn't losing weight on Atkins. So it was kind of an interesting experiment. So I ended up probably being down a total of about 100 pounds by 27. So probably started my weight loss journey at about 21. And in 6 years, it took me to lose that weight. So then I got pregnant with my son, and I gained a lot of weight with him. And it was pretty much, I did work out for like the first 5 months. I did water aerobics, so it wasn't too bad. And once I stopped working out, I completely quit on diets at all. Like, I don't mean dieting during my pregnancy, but like, I just didn't care. And I gained like 60 or 70 pounds in pregnancy, but quickly lost about 40 of it right after he was born. So like a net of 20 or 30 pounds maybe. Kept that, but then I got pregnant with my daughter. Gained another 50 or 60 pounds because clearly my body likes to gain weight during pregnancy. So I was at my all-time high after I had my daughter, and I really didn't lose much after her either. Like, I felt like I went home maybe 20 or 30 pounds lighter, and then I just gained it right back. And so then enter the paleo era of my life. So I was about 30, found paleo, and with that ended up reading the book Whole30, which was really life-changing for me, and I highly suggest reading it if you've never read it. It's a great read, and it really changed how I feel about nutrition. And I really realized, you know, the difference between the Atkins project that I did, we'll call it a project, and my Whole30 journey was very different. It was very much a healthy journey. So I've done 4 Whole30s, and I know that my body's kind of sensitive to dairy, so I can't have too much of it. It doesn't make my stomach hurt, but it will stall weight loss for me. And I also know that I don't do great with wheat, but I can have a little bit of it. So I kind of limit that, and if there is a low carb option, I'll try to do that first. So I did this Whole30 for about a year. I kind of went on and off of Whole30s, and lost a little bit of weight, did okay, but really just came back. And I credit that to, while I was eating healthier food, I was eating a lot of food, and I subscribed to the eat all day. So that was the one part I didn't put in there, is I didn't eat breakfast as a kid. Like, that was just normal. My hormones were balanced, according to Dr. Fung. Once I got a little bit older, I was told by Weight Watchers and society that I needed to eat 6 meals a day. So that's what I took into the Whole30, and I was eating 6 meals a day, and I think I was just eating too much. I was eating when I wasn't hungry, is the reality of it. So enter intermittent fasting. It was November 2018, and I was at Thanksgiving, and there was a picture taken of me, and I posted it. I'll post it again on my Instagram. But there was a picture taken of me, and I just remember getting home, and I was just, another track, sorry. I was miserable, and I didn't like how I looked, and I felt pretty down on myself. And I was 10 pounds away from the heaviest I'd ever been, and that's a lot on my 5'4" frame. So I went home, and I was at a pretty dark place. So I started actually researching like weight loss surgery, and I've just never felt right that was something for me, and I don't knock it. I know that's very successful for a lot of people. It just didn't feel right to me, but I really desperately wanted to lose the weight. Somehow I came across the article in the website called Love What Matters. It was Kim Smith and her husband, and her book is Unbelievable Freedom. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. I came across her story and was really inspired by her and her husband losing a whole lot of weight using intermittent fasting. I also came across a story by Rachel Sharp, who's also a great Instagram influencer. If you're interested in other channels, she's fantastic. She's done a great job. So I kind of looked at both of these, and I felt really overwhelmed because Rachel Sharp does alternate day fasting, and so she had 36-hour fasts, and I was like, how do you do that? Like, and I was confused about whether it was safe. Second was when I found Kim Smith second, and with that came her suggestion to read Delay Don't Deny by Jen Stevens. And once I read that, everything clicked into place. I understood what I needed to do. So right away, I devoured the book. It took me I feel like it took 3 or 4 hours to read. It was super fast. And I pretty much started the next day. So I decided that I would start with just 12-hour fasts. Just get myself kind of used to it. So I did 12-hour fasts for probably a couple weeks. And then I was like, I can easily do 14 hours. So I pushed myself up to 14 hours. And I think I did between 12 and 16-hour fasts until about mid-January of 2019. At which time I had really I'd gotten into Jen's book and really started digging into it and decided that I really needed to push it up to 18 or 20 hours. So I did that until about mid-February of 2019. And I was losing weight. I was probably dropped 20 pounds in the first month and felt really good about it. And it wasn't hard. I thought it would be hard. It was really easy. So at that point, I switched over and decided to try my first OMAD in about mid-February. And I just remember feeling like it wasn't hard and I wasn't hungry. I was fine. But the mental game was crazy. My body was throwing a frickin' temper tantrum at noon at lunch. It was feed me now. But I wasn't hungry. It was in my brain. So once I made it through that, I really started doing OMADs and lost 50 pounds between November of 18 and about June of 19. So pretty nice, easy pace of weight loss. And then it stalled. So I kind of just played it off with OMAD until February of 2020. And unfortunately, my dad passed away very unexpectedly. It was really awful. And so while I was kind of in a better place with my fasting and I had started losing weight, I'd actually lost another 10 pounds. When my dad died, it all stalled. So I it's interesting, I've put my weights into Happy Scale, and you can definitely see like where that started. Even though I was still fasting and I was walking 2 miles a day, I wasn't losing weight. So it was really interesting to see just the cortisol response, the stress hormone response on my body. So fast forward to now. In July, I decided that I would do alternate day fasting, and I have been doing alternate day fasting with the 500 calorie meal. I've lost all the weight that I'm about 5 pounds away from having lost all the weight I've gained. So I'm down about 40 pounds, a little bit over 40 pounds, almost 45-ish. And I feel a lot better, and definitely my trend is going down on Happy Scale. So I'm really enjoying this current protocol, which is, so I have pretty set schedule. Mondays are my down days. I eat a 500 calorie meal, which I'll talk about in just a second. Tuesdays are my up days. I eat 2 meals, usually lunch and dinner. Wednesdays are a down day. Thursdays are an up day. Fridays are a down day. Saturdays are an up day. And then Sunday I've been doing OMAD, but I don't know. I have to watch that trend for the next few weeks because I'm not really sure that that's doing anything for my weight loss. So I may end up needing to maybe just do pure alternate day fasting and kind of change around my schedule. But for right now, that's what I'm doing. Yesterday I went 42 hours. Now technically you're supposed to stop your clock, and I know that I stop eating about 18 or 20 hours and have that 500 calorie meal, so it's not a true alternate day fast. However, I leave it running on my fasting timer because it tells me that I did an up day, down day protocol, and I like to analyze my data sometimes. So for now, that's where I'm at. I have chosen the 500 calorie meal right now because I can have binge eating tendencies. Like, I get really nervous around food, and obviously with my past, it makes sense. So I try really hard to be mindful around food, and that 500 calories really helps my mental state. It's more of a mental game. Like, even yesterday, I had a meal at lunch instead of dinner, and my body threw a temper tantrum at dinner. And it wasn't hunger, it was my brain. It would not stop thinking about it. I was not hungry. I was fine. I didn't need food. So for me, it's really a mental game. It's undoing bad habits. It's kind of fixing that diet mentality that I grew up with, which is really, for me, the biggest thing that intermittent fasting has done for me is change that, my relationship with food, which is so much more healthy now. And I'm really super excited about that. So now you know me, you know my story, you know where I come from, and I have the opinion that the more you know about somebody, the more you understand why they do things. So hopefully you know a little bit more about me now, and I will be coming back here to talk about some other additional things that maybe aren't the best for Instagram because they're too long. So any questions, feel free to ask. I'm super open book, and I actually really like talking about intermittent fasting and weight loss. I'm definitely a slow and steady kind of a girl. I'm a turtle weight loss person. I lose slowly, but I am hoping to never regain it again. So anyway, have a great day, and talk to you later.